All right, let's write another process essay. This one is also from IELTS Academic 14. As usual, we need to understand the statement. The diagram below shows how electricity is generated in a hydroelectric power station. So it's about a hydroelectric power station and how they generate electricity in that. Step 2, spend some time on the process and try to understand it. So here from the top, water flows from the river upside into high-level reservoir, so they store water behind the dam. Then in daytime, they open that and water flows to the turbines. Turbines pump the water to the generator to produce electricity, and then the electricity is transmitted or sent to the national grid, and they use power lines to do that. The rest of the water goes to the low-level reservoir. So at night, the water from the low-level reservoir pumps back to the high-level reservoir, and the turbines actually do that because they are reversible. The process is quite clear if we follow that. It's cyclical. I mean, it's like a circle. It's like a cycle. From the top goes to the low level, and it goes back at night to the high level reservoir. So it is a cycle. For the overview, we need to think about the main steps, right? So it's not enough to just say overall the process involves, let's say, for example, 4 or 5 steps. It's important to mention the main steps as well. To identify those steps, I would divide this into, let's say, 4 main parts. One part is storing water. Right, so we have high-level reservoir to store it and also low-level reservoir to store water. So I put these two together and call it storing water. And the other part, which is important to the process, is managing water flow. So in daytimes, it goes down to generate electricity, and at nights, it goes back or pumps back into the higher reservoir. So this would be the second one. And the third important step would be the generator and the turbines. The generator generates or produces electricity and then send it to the national grid. Now it's time to write. As usual, we start with the paraphrase. The diagram illustrates the process of electricity generation in a hydroelectric power station. So I deleted below because there is nothing below my writing. I changed shows to illustrates. And instead of how electricity is generated, I wrote the process of electricity generation. So I changed the part of a speech. Generated as a verb turned into generation, a noun. So this is the model answer. We just read the paraphrase. Let's read the overview. Overall, there are 4 stages to this cyclical process, and the main steps are storing water, managing water flow, and the operation of turbines and generators. So I mentioned the number of steps and also the main steps. Now let's describe the process from the top. The process begins as water is channeled from the river and stored in a high-level reservoir behind a dam. During daylight hours, the dam is open to allow the stored water to flow towards reversible turbines. Now the next part. Simultaneously, these turbines operate generators, producing electricity from water flows. The generated electricity is then transmitted to the national grid via power lines. Now the last part of this. After passing through the turbines, water is pumped into a low-level reservoir, now at night. During the night, the process shifts, with the reversible turbines now acting as pumps to retrieve water from the low-level reservoir. This water is then transported back to the high-level reservoir, positioning it for the next cycle of electricity generation. So I described the process in details and mentioned the main steps in the overview. So I wrote 150 words for this essay and I organized it in 3 paragraphs. In my introduction, I simply paraphrased and wrote the overview, and in the next 2 paragraphs, described the process in details. In this slide, you can find the words that I used to describe the process, their useful verbs and nouns. And in this one, you will find the connectors I used to connect and link my sentences. All right, hope you found it useful. Have a nice day.